What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of Pound for Pound. I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, aka Triple C.
A Shadow Line production.
Big weekend happening this weekend. UFC 309 is going down. But before that, of course, we've got Mike Tyson taking on Jake Paul Friday on Netflix. If you haven't seen our interview that we did a week or two ago with Mike Tyson, make sure you go and check it out. Henry, you tell me, how are you feeling about this? Because when we had Mike Tyson on, Mike made me forget he was 58. And then, of course, when he grabbed my shoulder, I was low-key scared. So you tell me, how do you think this fight's going to take place?
Man, you know what, Kamaru? I got a front row seat to the fight from a buddy of mine. He wants to go and he wants to meet Mike. At the last minute, I said, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to go. Despite the outcome, obviously, Mike does look good. But I have a feeling that Jake the Snake is going to end up just kind of, he's going to run, dude. He's going to do his lateral movements. So is Mike Tyson physically ready? 100%. Is he going to be able to catch the young buck? And that's the question that needs to be answered. So to sum it all up, Kamaru, I'm not going. I'm going to watch the fight. But I do believe that Mike Tyson gets it done. He could get it done within the first maybe 3 rounds. Like if Mike Tyson does end up coming up with this victory, I think it could be done with the first 3. I think Jake Paul we do have to start putting respect on his name. Obviously, he is fighting a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson still has power. And you said it when we were together. You said something that I'll never forget. The last thing to go is power. The question is, though, could he touch Jake Paul?
I agree. I think it's one of those things. Like I said before, it's almost like it's a tough situation for Jake Paul to be in because what he's trying to do is extract the love and the admiration and the fans or the hate that people have for Mike Tyson. And I think he is going to accomplish that. But the only way that you accomplish that is by actually going in there and putting on an amazing performance. That's tough to do because we all know that time is, obviously time waits for no one, and time is a factor here. Mike Tyson being 58 years old and Jake Paul being only, 20-something? So, yeah, the youth is on his side. He's going to have fresher legs. Jake Paul is a boxer now. We have to give him that level of respect. He is a boxer now, and I think this is a risk for him because Mike Tyson, the one thing that he does know how to do is how to punch. So, me personally, I do agree. I think Jake Paul is not going to get into those exchanges with Mike Tyson because he's just not as confident there because he hasn't done it long enough. So I think he's going to look to stay on the outside, jab, jab, move, and try to wait for Mike Tyson, who is the more, let's just say, seasoned, experienced veteran to tire out. So I think Jake Paul is going to pull off a decision because I don't know. I think it's, 10 rounds or 8 rounds?
No, it's 8 2-minute rounds.
8 2-minute. How is that a sanctioned fight if it's 8 2-minute rounds? It's got to be 8 3-minute rounds.
Yeah, no, but money talks, bro. This is why they're probably having it in Texas. But I like the fact. No, I'm giving Mike a better chance than that, dude. Even
100%.
though he is 58, he looked so good against Roy, but it's also 4 years ago.
No, I'm not 100%. I'm not saying I'm not giving Mike a chance. I 100% give Mike a chance, especially now that you're making him 2-minute rounds. So he only has to have those bursts for 2 minutes. He has to come after Jake for 2 minutes. Yeah, I 100%. I think it's going to be a more competitive Mike Tyson than people realize. But it is what it is. It's going down in my hometown, Arlington, Texas, in the stadium where the Cowboys play. The Cowboys right now. But yeah, it's going to be live on Netflix on Friday. Make sure you check that out. And of course, as I mentioned, make sure you check out the Mike Tyson interview too, also on our YouTube and Spotify and all the other places you want to get our show, Pound for Pound. All right, guys, before we get into our UFC 309 as y'all like to say it, preview, as always, we want to give a big shout out to our partners at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Underdog's pick'em game is as simple as choosing higher or lower on a variety of different stats, and they've got every sports from the NBA, NFL, and of course, UFC.
Yeah, that's right, Kamaru. And this weekend, all new customers will receive an Aaron Rodgers free pick. The Jets QB only needs to throw 1 yard for you to damn win. Underdog is available with 30 plus states, including California, Texas, New York, and guess what? Arizona too.
And don't forget to use code P4P, that's pound for pound, when you sign up to support the show. Click the link down below to get started. But moving on, Henry, the next day is UFC 309, right?
Wow, that's pretty good.
Hey, don't sleep on my Spanish. Don't sleep on my Spanish now, bro. I'm telling you. Saturday at MSG, Jon Jones taking on Stipe Miocic. How you see this fight going down, Henry?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are not giving Stipe Miocic a shot. Is he being overlooked? 100%. Are people really giving him a shot? Not really. But we are going to find out this week. And I started kind of watching a little bit of Stipe and Daniel Cormier, particularly their last fight. Man, Stipe goes to the body, bro. Stipe does go to the body. I think that's one weapon that he could potentially pull out with Jon, in particular because Jon is carrying a lot more weight in the midsection. And just because you have more weight doesn't mean anything. Like, you're probably still fragile there. So I do believe that the keys to victory for a guy like Stipe is just last. Maybe, Jon Jones is going to come out front kicking like he does with everybody. He's going to create the distance. Like I even went back and I watched Jon Jones and Cyril God. Is it Cyril God or Cyril Gane?
Cyril Gane.
Either way, I watched that fight and Jon pressed him. When Jon presses people, he takes people going backwards. When you start to fire off, then that's when he's looking for actual takedowns. But the Stipe Miocic has a chance. I'm going to have to say no. I think Jon Jones is too competitive. He's fought before than a guy. I don't know why. I don't know why Stipe has taken this long of a break, particularly if he does want to fight for the world title. I just see complete domination by Jon Jones via kicks and potential takedowns in the later rounds.
That's a bold statement to say that Stipe Miocic does not have a chance. It's a bold statement. You're talking about the greatest heavyweight that's ever done it. So that, I don't agree with you there, Henry. I think Stipe definitely has a chance, especially Stipe is the type of guy that can fight going backwards, as we saw in him going backwards and putting Fabricio Werdum out to become the heavyweight champion of the world. Stipe can fight going backwards. Stipe can wrestle, as far as being able to at least get up or keep Jon in those positions to where we're going to wrestle, we're going to jockey for positions here, to where normally when Jon Jones grabs someone, more than likely they're going to go down. So I think Stipe has a really, really big shot here. Honestly, Henry, I think they're both facing a challenge that they really haven't faced before. I think for Jon Jones, I think he hasn't really been able to fight a guy who can hit him and put him away quickly, can fight going backwards, and is big enough and tall enough to wrestle with him in those positions. And so I think Jon is going to have a hard time kind of dealing with that, especially when he's carrying all that extra weight on him. But also, you're right, Henry. I think Stipe is going to have a hard time with a guy like Jon that could create that distance with those side kicks, those oblique kicks that he throws. Those are dangerous kicks. You step forward and he steps on your knee like that. You've never seen that before. You never had a guy do that to you before. Yes, that definitely plays a big factor in it. So I like the fight. I don't agree with you, Henry. I think they both have a chance. With that being said, it's very hard to bet against Jon Jones. So I'm going to go with Jon Jones.
Oh, so you're going to say, that you sound like me and Kayla.
Hey, I'm just saying.
You put some material now.
Put some respect on Stipe Miocic's name for sure.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're gonna be taking my swag too.
You see me in the sweat the top. You see me in the top and bottom. I got this matching set on right now, Henry.
I like that. Young Lock, shout out to them.
Okay.
Anyhow, what happens if Jon Jones does win? He could retire, and it all depends what the UFC. It depends what Dana White wants to do. But I don't believe John's gonna fight Aspinall. I don't think there's enough money. He's too dangerous. He's too big. But there is a fight with Alex Pereira, and I do believe that Jon Jones wants it because they know there's a big deficiency in Pereira, and he's gonna expose that. So he's gonna make money. He wants to call it the champ versus champ fight, and I get it. And he's already kind of throwing it out there. You know what the reality is, Kamaru? He deserves that, dude. He deserves that fight. But I see nothing going on with Tom Aspinall. So Tom Aspinall, sit down. Jones is not going to fight you, and rightfully so because you're too damn dangerous.
I ain't gonna say all that, but I'm gonna say I agree with you. I do think if John is able to get when if John is able to get past Stipe Miocic, I do think, to be honest, a fight with Alex Pereira is more appealing. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It is more appealing because Alex Pereira has been on this trajectory, on this wave, where he's a guy that's been in there for only 2 years. Shama, and he's knocking all these guys out and stopping all these guys. And he currently has Jon Jones's title. Pretty much that light heavyweight title should have Jon Jones' signature on it because hey, that's his title. And so yeah, I do think it's a good fight. But here's the question: is at what weight? Because yeah, John doesn't need a belt. John is just that big of a name to where he doesn't need a belt to fight right now. He still
Yeah,
brings in the
John.
numbers.
But Johnny going down a light heavyweight. Hell no, he's too old and he's too accomplished. Bring the
Hey,
contender, bring the contender down to me.
so do we
But he
put
is,
do we put a
but
BMF on it?
I like that. I like that. And I think because John did say that, because Jon Jones did talk about the BMF, they know why he's gonna do it. You're gonna see a BMF on the line as he's gonna relinquish his heavyweight title, let Tom fight everybody, beat everybody up, and he's just gonna go straight BMF versus the light heavyweight, or they create it, and I think it's gonna be able to create more buzz, man. And I love that about what Jon Jones is creating. He's creating a great storyline. But let's get down to the co-main event, cause we got your boy Iron Michael Chandler, but which by the way, he hasn't been out. He hasn't been on pound for pound. If that is your boy, man, you might want to rethink that, man. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I gotta have a talk
he's
with my
going.
man.
He's going up against Charles the Bronx, somebody who's beat him before, somebody who's who's been there, somebody who's stricken the most submissions in UFC history. I mean, Charles the Bronx is out of this damn world. He could strike, he could wrestle. My biggest question for Charles the Bronx is against a guy like Michael Chandler. The game plan for Michael Chandler is: could you make it super freaking boring? Can you do what Armin Sarukian did? Can you do what Islam Makhachev did of take him down and just frame and then just steal the fight? The reason why I say that is because you cannot scramble too much with the Bronx because he's too tricky tomorrow.
No, I 100% agree with you. I do think Michael Chandler is the type of guy that can do that. Mike has the ability to slow down a fight and just be solid in his technique and not get overzealous and not become the entertainer. And I spent a quite a bit of time with Michael Chandler, and the one thing that I will say is it seems that Mike has definitely grown in that area of being able to stay composed in the heat of battle, because Mike Chandler was seconds away from winning that first fight and becoming the lightweight champion of the world. So Michael Chandler definitely possesses the power to do that. He possesses the explosiveness to do that. The way that Michael Chandler can cover range and hop in and hop out is second to none. And I think he's taking this very, very serious. And yes, I know the time away kind of sucked because he sat for almost 2 years. But sometimes that's good for your body to recover, especially when you're a guy like this, and then especially when you're fighting an opponent that you fought before. So I like the fight. I'm gonna go ahead and make my pick. I'm gonna go with Michael Chandler. I think this is his fight to win and his fight to lose.
Well, I think the winner of this fight should more likely get the title. So could Michael Chandler wins? He's fighting for the title. Chandler was. This is a number one contender spot, and I almost feel like Justin Gaethje should have just won. He should have never fought Holloway. Fuck. But that being said, there's so much for a guy like Charles the Bronx. I mean, Charles the Bronx, even if he loses, there's a potential fight with him and Max Holloway for the BMF. He's talked about that. A lot of interest in that. I mean, a lot of these guys they like the BMF stuff, so that could potentially be the new train that people are going to try to hop on. Even though, as you said, Kamaru, it's a hypothetical. Pound for pound, it's also hypothetical. The BMF too, because if you're the best in the world, you are a BMF. So it depends what is it that the UFC actually wants to do. But I'm placing my pick now. I'm going to have to go with Charles the Bronx because Iron Michael Chandler does not wrestle. And he's too much of an entertainer. And I just feel like Charles Oliveira is just he's just a lot trickier.
For Michael Chandler, I do think he does get it done. And as far as the BMF, I think there needs to be a little time. They need a little time before they throw another one out there because if you look at the history of that belt, there's a trajectory. You win the belt, you lose it in devastating fashion. Then there's a little break. Let this simmer off, let that wear off. Then somebody else wins the belt again. Then there's a devastating loss. He loses it in devastating fashion. Give it a little break right now. I say let it cool off a little bit. It's still hot right now. In them streets, this BMF is still hot right now for what happened. So let it cool off a little bit. Then you let somebody else fight for it. That's what I think personally.
Yeah, I personally disagree because you go back and think of the WWF back in the day. They had the Intercontinental Tag Team. There's more storylines, Kamaru, but as a competitor, as a competitor, I think there should maybe only be one or two BMFs, and that's it. Because then people are just gonna try to find stock in that, which in reality you should always be chasing the UFC championship belt that I got 4 at home and a damn Olympic gold medal. But what about Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig, man? I know you got your eyes on that, Kush.
I think it's a great fight. I think now this is the part where I know a lot of people say, oh, the UFC doesn't build guys, don't build guys. I think they do. And I think this is the type of fight to build a guy like Bo Nickal. The UFC has done a phenomenal job at slowly moving him along and letting him kind of get his feet wet and letting him get in here in the UFC. At first, they gave him a guy. He was able to go out there, show impressive striking, and get the guy out of there. In his last fight, the same. It was kind of ups and downs, but he completely was dominant in that fight. And now you give him a guy that knows his way around the mat. Paul Craig knows his way around the freaking mat. Has submitted Magomed Ankalaev, has also submitted Jamal Hill, and also finished Shogun Rua. So, hey, I think this is a perfect fight because Paul Craig is not the most explosive guy. He's not the most aggressive striker, but he has grown over the years. And so I think this is the next test to see if Bo Nickal is ready for that top 15 challenger next. So I love the fight. And personally, I think he's still young enough and explosive enough and still has those wrestling muscles, which allows you to dictate the real estate of this fight. So I'm going to go with Bo Nickal on this fight.
Yeah, what's Bo Nickal's record, man? What's his record? I think he's
6-0,
bro.
Yeah, 6-0.
I did my debut at 6-0. Bo Nickal could potentially lose to a guy like this. The only reason why I say that, Kamaru, is because, dude, he's taking a big step up. If Paul Craig is able to make this dude squeeze and punch his arms out through because he did it in his last fight. Luckily, his youth is taking over. But with a guy that's a submission threat and could scramble, and that's more likely he's gonna get taken down.
Right.
But Bo Nickal, I'm excited to see what Bo looks like in round 1, 2, and then 3. Can he go on through rounds and we're able to see him? Because I tell you what, you get spoiled with finishes. You're not gonna be able to finish everybody. Once you crack into that top 10, and then once you crack into that top 5, and then you crack into those top 2, top 3, it changes the game, and experience is a huge factor. Kudos to Bo Nickal. How can I ever go against a guy who is a 3-time NCAA champ, 4-time finalist, 2-time Danny Hodge Trophy winner, despite him being 6-0? This guy right now in the UFC, he's a young buck with the best wrestling, dude. So I'm gonna have to go with the one and only Bo Nickal by, believe it or not, I'm gonna go decision, dude.
Decision. I could see it. I think this is one that we agree on. But I agree with you. If he's not ready, this is the type of experienced veteran that can pull something off and shock us. Because he's done it before. He submitted Magomed Ankalaev with, I believe, 1 or 10 seconds left. I think it's the latest stoppage in UFC history. In the 3rd round, stopped him with maybe 2 seconds left. And so, I mean, we got to pull that up. Let's pull that up. Let's see. He defeating Ankalaev. Well, Paul Craig, is he on a 2-fight losing streak? Wow. That's Brandon Allen, of course. You fight. Yeah. So, and then Kyle Barrio. Yeah, these are not just. Yeah, these aren't just regular guys. Well, you see that Magomed 459, the latest stoppage in UFC history. He stopped Magomed Ankalaev at 459. That's incredible, which means Bo Nickal is going to have to put this guy away. If you don't put this guy away, he's still dangerous from the beginning of the fight to literally, and when I say literally, the last seconds of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oof, man, UFC 309 is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're saying that potentially they say that President Trump is coming. That's how much he loves that's how much he loves the UFC, Kamaru. So there's a lot of
that's just gangster right there. That's just straight on
yeah, I mean,
gangster. But
yeah, and then this fight is flooded with some other people. We have we got Marcus McGee is fighting Jonathan Martinez. That's a good fight. Chris Weidman is fighting Eric Anders. I mean, this could potentially be the last fight for a guy like Eric Anders. Obviously, we have Jim Miller. Jim Miller is fighting. Dude, they really love Jim Miller.
Why you say that? Why you say that, Henry?
Because he does get on these special cards, man, with 16, 15, 16, 18 losses. I mean, I'm just saying, dude, come on, Kush. You got to call a spade, my brother.
I don't know what you talking about. What you calling? What's the spade?
We should start calling this show the cringe and the champ.
What spade are you spade? What are you saying? I want to know what you're saying.
No, it's just he's been on UFC 100, right. 200, 300, MSG. What I'm saying is they like Jim Miller. And I'm not saying I'm not trying to start it. I'm just saying. Those are some big ass cards, and he's been on some of the biggest cards. Every time you're able to get on a Jon Jones card, it is absolutely ridiculous. UFC 309 in New York. I think other than what we saw in Abu Dhabi with Ilia Topuria and Hamzat and all that, I do believe that's probably the second best card on paper that the UFC is putting together.
309?
It's 309, right?
Yeah. We're gonna agree to disagree here. But I do agree with you. I think it's a fantastic fight.
I'm talking about on paper. I'm talking about competitively on paper. Because let's put it to you this way too, Kamaru. Jon Jones and Stipe, they've been out for a minute, so it's also equal to the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC. He's a little older, and Jon Jones only competed once. We saw him only in the octagon for about a good 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I think overall, man, like this house is. I mean, this card is very, very competitive, and I like that. I like what the UFC is doing.
Yeah, from start to finish, I think the card is very, very competitive. There's a couple of fights on there that I really like. Of course, you've got David Onama. My African brother is also going in there. He's been in some really, really barn burners, some exciting fights in there. So, of course, getting this opportunity to be at a card and fight in MSG is a tremendous opportunity. And of course, like you mentioned, the Jim Miller fight. That's also a big fight. Basil is fighting on this card as well, and his last fight he fought Mickey Gall, who is also on this card as well. So a lot of good fights there in the undercard. But it's a fantastic card from top to bottom. But Henry, I think we gotta do predictions on the main card. I think we definitely got to do predictions.
Yeah, I thought we went through it, Kamaru.
Yeah, we went through 2 fights.
Okay, all right. So main card. Okay, so the main card. Okay, let's start off with the bottom. Okay, so we did Jon Jones.
Yeah,
I think we only missed a few.
We did Jon Jones. I'm gonna choose Jon Jones. You're choosing Stipe, or what'd you say?
No, I got Jon, bro. You kidding me?
Oh, you got Jon. All right, I ain't know. All right.
Co-main event, I have Charles Oliveira. You got Michael Chandler.
I got Michael Chandler.
Scoot down.
I got Michael Chandler. And then next fight, we got Bo Nickal taking on Paul Craig. I'm going to take Bo Nickal.
That's nice. You definitely got that Irish. You shoot balls of lightning from your eyes, thunder from your ass.
Actually, he's Scottish. Yeah. He's Scottish, bruv. He's Scottish.
Yeah. So I'm also going for Bo Nickel, but I'm going Bo Nickel via decision. But I'm giving Paul Craig a lot more respect than what people are actually doing.
I agree with you.
And then
Then
Viviana Aruja versus Karina Silva. Man, Karina Silva, dude, I think she's a future title contender, man. I don't know how good. I want to see her being tested, but from what I saw so far, dude, she is freaking good. So Ali, forgive me because she's dominant in MMA, but I think Karina right now, she's just too damn good, too damn solid, and I think she gets it done.
I agree with you, Henry. I think sometimes I want to go with Viviana Araujo. I love Vivi. I think she's very, very talented, very, very explosive. But sometimes I feel that she gets lost in fights. And right now, I think Karina is a streaky. So I'm going to go with Karine Silver on this fight as well.
Okay, and then we got Mariso Rufi versus
Lion
James
top.
Line top.
Lion on top.
Okay, Lion on top. That must be. Well, you know what? I might have to go with Mariso. I might have to go with
Mauricio.
Mauricio. He has one loss. I know his striking is good. His submission game is a threat. I haven't seen a lot of James, but what I do know is he does have 4 losses. So for that reason, I just gotta go with my Brazilian brother, and I'm going Mauricio Rufi.
Hmm.
Just don't
Good.
get roofie, Kush.
Is it Roofy or Ruffy? I think it looks that might be Ruffy or Huffy
Ruffy?
or Huffy. He's Brazilian, so it might be
Huffy.
Huffy. Yeah,
Mauricio Huffy.
yeah,
Okay,
Mauricio
correction.
Huffy.
Kamaru
Yeah,
Usman, the Harvard
you
grad,
know what I'm
is
saying.
checking me.
You know what I'm saying. Hey, I got the certificate at home. I see y'all laughing over there. I got the certificate, Harvard grad at home. Yeah, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna go with my Peruvian brother here. I'm gonna go with James Lion Top. That 14-4. That's just listen, Henry. That just means you has you know seven more experienced fights under his belt. So I'm gonna go with Lion Top here. I think this is the one that's really gonna kind of separate both of us because you copied me the rest of the other picks. But yeah, this was gonna separate us. So I'm gonna go with Lion Top.
I just got a question before we close here, Kush, because I gotta tell you, man, because if we're gonna break anything, you gotta break it here on pound for pound. So what's going on, man? Are we seeing Us the Nigerian diver versus Rockmanov UFC 310? What's up? Let me in.
Yeah, well, you see where I'm at right now. You see where I'm at.
Okay,
I'm
so you're
getting
in
listen.
Colorado.
I'm getting
Okay.
some work
So
in.
in other words, you're getting ready, Kush, if you do get the call.
I'm getting ready if I get that call. But um, to be honest, it's a fight that I've looked at, and I know it's definitely a very very winnable fight, and I know that I can, of all people, go out there and expose what hasn't been exposed in a young, hungry, streaky guy in Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's very talented. He's very very good, but I do see the holes, and I think that I can exploit that when that time is right. But December 7th might be a little too early for that time. So yeah, that's where I'm at with
Okay,
it.
I like that. I like that, man. Keeping us on our toes. Well, Kush, as always, bro, it is always a pleasure and honor. And close us out, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and of course, your comments, whatever you want us, you want to see some, whoever you want to see, make sure you let us know. But don't forget, Jake Paul taking on Mike Tyson on Friday before Saturday, UFC 309 or 309, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. And as always, make sure you go back. We have the interview with Mike Tyson, just kind of get his thoughts and feeling on this fight. For those of you fans who like to pick and put a little something on your picks, yeah, go and check that out. But as always, I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, aka Triple C.
We are out.